Hi, I'm Kristin Neville, the founding director of Blues to Green. With the Valley Creates Planning Grant, Blues to Green, the Performance Project, the Community Music School of Springfield, and Focus Springfield Community TV would develop a plan for a pilot curriculum with 2 to 3 partner schools in Springfield. The curriculum would be built around 4 artist residencies with Elio Villafranca, Avery Sharp, Rochelle Rice, and Sarah Elizabeth Charles. These residencies would connect American music with its African and Afro-Caribbean roots, with history and with social justice. With the knowledge and input of artists and educators, we will try to determine how best to engage middle and high school students, how to assist them in integrating this knowledge, and how to instill a sense of agency in affecting change in their lives and communities. If implemented, this project would engage young people in Springfield, Holyoke, and potentially other parts of the Pioneer Valley in a deeper exploration of their own history, using music as the pathway. The cultural or musical contributions that have come from communities of color are a source of pride, and they are an important part of our collective American identity and history. This musical history represents a connection to cultural roots carried through the generations and the ability to create the world anew, amplify marginalized voices, and overcome oppressive social conditions through the freedom of expression found in music. It is a goal of this pilot project to foster within youth a greater understanding of our shared history, inspire a sense of agency and social responsibility, and develop an awareness of the difference that music and artistic expression can have in our lives and in creating a more just and harmonious world.
Hello, I'm Avery Sharp, musician-composer. I was born in Valdosta, Georgia, and grew up partly in the legally segregated South, and also grew up in Springfield, Massachusetts. And through my work with Archie Shepp and Max Roach, I eventually became a renowned jazz bassist. I was fortunate to tour the world and appear on at least 25 recordings with jazz legend McCoy Tyner. I have composed pieces performed by the Springfield Symphony and other symphonies, and have composed music and directed musical theater productions such as the play Raising Cain. This featured the actress Jasmine Guy and my group, which toured throughout the United States. The play focused on the Harlem Renaissance, the literary works of Jean Toomer, Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston, W.E. Du Bois, and the jazz music and visual artists of the time. I am excited to help develop this pilot project and bring the community together. I think it is advantageous to have partnering organizations working together to achieve this. It is important to ignite young people's natural curiosity and help propel them into realizing their unlimited possibilities. I think this work is extremely important because it informs each student of the African American heritage that was left by these great people. The people of that era will have an impact on these students. I was not an avid reader until I got to high school. I went to classical high school in Springfield, Massachusetts. And at the time, in the early 1970s, they offered Black history, and I became infatuated about the people who looked like me. After that, I began to read everything I could find on African Americans. And this, more than anything else, has shaped my life and my art.
The members of First Generation are very much the members that I feel will benefit from the kind of project that we are hoping to embark on. They are young people in Springfield and Holyoke, Chicopee as well, who are high school age, who come from a variety of backgrounds in underserved communities. Some of them are immigrants and refugees, some are in the Department of Youth Services or Children and Family Services. All of them are hungry for the arts and hungry to learn more about their own histories, which is currently not being taught in the public school system. Each of the artists that we'll be collaborating with already come with an incredible body of knowledge. They have already been practicing their craft and teaching young people in workshops with a lens for Afro and Afro-Caribbean history and social justice. The exciting part of this project for me is that we will be collaborating with teachers in the school system who will help us craft this curriculum in a way that it will work within the school schedules, within the school year, and also be cross-disciplinary so that the English teachers will find benefits in interfacing with what we create, and the social studies teachers will find benefits with what we create, along with the ethnic study teachers in Holyoke as well. Another role that the Performance Project would play in this collaboration is that we would work with the artists to develop materials and activities that would become a part of their workshops and residencies. I also will be involved in investigating whether it's possible to develop a cohort of young adults, either high school or just postgraduate high school, who can learn the curriculum from the artists and be involved in the teaching of the curriculum. So there will be a peer mentoring component that First Generation and the Performance Project will investigate and see if we can develop. When I think about the benefits for this work, I think about how over the past 10 years, funding for the arts has been cut from the public school system, and there are many, many schools in all 3 counties that don't actually have a rich music curriculum. The way history is taught is not the most engaging way for young people, and I think that young people would be hungry for a curriculum that merges the discipline that is already present in their life, music. Music is intrinsic to every young person's growth. If you hang out with teenagers, you know that music is their language from the moment they wake up till the moment they go to sleep. And if we can connect the music they're listening to profound roots and American history, I think we'll be making some pretty amazing connections for them.
We are very excited to be part of this big idea that is bringing together some very trusted and important partners who have been doing really extraordinary work in their communities, whether they're here in Springfield, throughout the Pioneer Valley, or in our extended national family, and actually international when you think of some of the performers who are stepping forward to be part of this coalition. And I'm very moved by the idea that in the center of this, Kristin Neville has been willing to share the relationships that she and Charles have forged over their lifetimes, and share them with the kids here, kids in high school, kids in middle school, kids in elementary school. And that is what happens when we take students in our community and we connect them with true, authentic, deep stories of what the journey has been like for the artists and how their identity has been shaped by their art. And we connect that with kids who are middle schoolers struggling to figure out how to make their lives make sense in the context of what they're going through. So I think we've got a lot of work to do. I think it's going to be amazing. And for me, the project started when Charles Neville chose to come to the community music school and meet with a group of our Sonido Musica summer program kids. Our Sonido program brings together kids from all throughout Springfield. And he started talking to them about what it was like to go into the Deep South as a black musician who was revered for his craft, but when he stepped outside of those boundaries, it was not the same. And the kids in the audience, there were many of the children who were children of color who were surprised at how honest he was with that exchange, but how he used music in such a beautiful and optimistic way to rise above all that ugliness. And I think we saw on their faces that really resonates. That's the message of hope. And we have this opportunity to put this collaboration together and really bring the kids into the conversation in a way I think is going to be remarkable.
Hi, my name is Sarah Elizabeth Charles, and I'm really excited to be making this video as a part of the Artist's Residency application. I am originally from Springfield, Massachusetts, born and raised. Started studying music at the Community Music School of Springfield when I was about 5 or 6 years old through high school. I am a jazz musician in training, also a songwriter, an arranger, a composer, and a teaching artist, and currently living in New York City. I am on tour right now, that is where I am, and I'm just really excited to tell you a little bit about what I do in the hopes that I can do more of it in my hometown and where I come from. I've been a teaching artist with Carnegie Hall for about 5 years now. I work with their Future Music Project with teens. It's specifically a songwriting-focused project and class. I have also in the past worked on their Lullaby Project, writing original lullabies with expectant mothers and fathers in partnership with various organizations at Rikers Island, Beth Israel Hospital, the Department of Homeless Services, etc. And I currently co-lead with Matt Moran a musical workshop at Sing Sing Correctional Facility. It's a maximum security prison up in Ossining, New York. And I am also currently teaching and leading a class on jazz and gender that I designed last spring. Spring class is primarily focused on acknowledging and recognizing the work that we still have to do in sort of rewriting this history and acknowledging people who have been under-celebrated in this tradition as a result of their identification of gender and sexuality. So that's what I do in a nutshell. And I, in addition to that, tour and record and really love being able to share my experiences and work on music in educational settings, because arguably every musical setting has the opportunity to be an educational setting if we're all open to it, and that sort of exchange with students is something that has always been very fruitful to me. So it would be an honor to be a part of this project. Thanks so much for listening. Take care.
Hello, my name is Rochelle Rice, and I'm a singer, composer, and teaching artist here in Washington, D.C. I've spent time as education program manager for a major music festival, developing curriculum centered on jazz and blues and the music of Black people. And I've also worked with the Montgomery County Public Schools through Strathmore Music Center, developing curriculum and lesson plans on the blues for 5th grade students. Right now, I am the Associate Director of Music at All Souls Church, which has a robust music program centering on social justice for youth. And I also sing and tour with the phenomenal Sweet Honey in the Rock. I truly believe that the work I do as a teaching artist is so important. I've seen firsthand how lives are changed for students when they begin to understand and take pride in the legacy of the civil rights movement, when they begin to take pride and understand that they are commissioned with carrying forth that legacy. I've truly seen tremendous growth with my students, and I cannot wait to be able to continue that growth with the students in Springfield, Massachusetts. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I look forward to working with you.
Hello, my name is Elo Villafranca. I am a pianist and composer from Cuba. Currently, I live in New York City. I teach at Juilliard, at Manhattan School of Music, at NYU, and also at Temple University in Philadelphia. I was born, like I said, in Cuba, in a small town called San Luis, which is very well known for a Congolese tradition called tambor yuca. And ever since I came to this country, I've been devoting myself to share this tradition that I know, and also to teach all the younger generation the importance of knowing not only the musical history of North America, but also the Americas in general, to know the music of their neighbors, to know the music of the Caribbean, the music of South America, and also a very important key in this music is the music of the diaspora in African music. So I'm really support this program, and I think it's true, very valuable to in these current days where the younger generations are not necessarily being taught about the richness of their own culture and the culture of other countries. So I'm in support of the program. Thank you so much for listening, and looking forward to more. Okay, thank you. Bye.
The role of focus for this grant will be to produce and to edit and otherwise share all the amazing performances and the stories that come from our partners. I'm a former teacher in Springfield and in Holyoke, and kids are hungry for this type of offering. As has been told, a lot of the arts and music have been cut out of schools, and this is a great way to get it in a multidisciplinary manner to share with some history and some culture as well. I'm proud and excited to work with these partners. I think that this grant is a rare gem for all of our partners to work together, and especially as a television station, it has been difficult for us to cover the Jazz and Roots Fest as well as the Jazz and Justice series. But every time we make the extra effort to put a little bit of attention, time, and resources of our staff into it, we are so happy by the time we finish it. And I think that this grant can lift today's youth as they also become partners with them and hopefully become future leaders tomorrow. And I don't think there's a better way that we could honor the legacy of Charles Neville.
On the outside. So that's when Jazz and Justice came into my world, because specifically working with youth from all over New York City on songwriting projects, at Rikers Island in New York, at Sing Sing Correctional Facility in Austining, New York. These experiences helped me to realize that there was this whole other world that I had the opportunity to speak to when on this stage. And for me, it was just more of a responsibility, and maybe that speaks to my upbringing here, and the people that I met coming up, because it is a privilege and a responsibility to be an artist and to express yourself and to be given that opportunity. And it can be an amazing opportunity for exchange if we allow it to be.
Brother Charles, how about you?
Well, the music, when I was young, I heard a tune by Louis Armstrong called "Why Must I Be So Black and Blue?" And listening to what those words said and knowing what our condition was in the American community at the time. And then there was another one called "Shine." Just because my teeth are pearly, that's why they called me Shine. And that was like a generic name for a black person if his skin was dark. Yeah, there goes Shine. So those things were like music speaking of our condition. And then many years later, Nina Simone said, "Mississippi, goddamn."
For me, it's freedom. When Mr. Neville just said that word, it's something that I've always held really dear, the idea of freedom and the many facets and colors that it comes in. So it's not just the physical ability for us all to be in this space together. It's also the ability to have the choice as an artist and as a human being to make what you want to make and to live the life that you want to live. Having that facility, a lot of people say, "Oh, I can't do this because of this," or "I can't do this." But the reality is the limitations are only in our mind. And the time that I feel most free is when I'm creating my art and my music. That's when I feel the most free. That's when I feel that I'm the most true to myself and who I am. And that journey is still ongoing, of course, and will be for the rest of my life. But that's my motivation when I get out of bed in the morning and I create. It's just, how do I want to be free today? I want to go to that space. So that's what comes to mind when I think about it.
I agree with Sarah when she says freedom. When I was a little boy, every day when I left my home, there was a big bust of Malcolm X, and under it was a quote that he said in the 50s. He said, "The only place a black man could be free in America was on a jazz bandstand." And so as a younger person, obviously that resonated with me because this was the vocation that I intended on pursuing.
The connection of who and what I am to whatever the greater spirit of life is. And that's basically what it's all about. And through the years of playing music with different kinds of artists and different kinds of situations, like what you were speaking about, the freedom in the music. Well, back in the 50s, in the Jim Crow days, and we traveled in the South and played in these little honky-tonk joints where the people, their lives were really oppressed. But they would come into this joint at night, pay 50 cents to get in, and the band we would open up our souls to them and play ourselves, and it would help them bring theirs out. And one of the things about the power of women, I had the great pleasure and privilege of playing with Big Mama Willie Mae Thornton, and also Big Mae Bell. Yeah, and they had, they were like really powerful women. Had these great voices, and they could really move an audience. They both made really great recordings. The most famous one that Big Mama made was the one that Elvis Presley made famous. Well, you ain't nothing but a hound dog. With playing the music or being an artist, whatever kind of art is, expressing what's in your soul and spirit and sharing it with other people.
So the community music school, the word community is important to us. It's who we are, it's what we do. And what Rochelle did in these workshops was really beautiful and powerful and I think, very appropriate to this whole idea of what the Jazz and Roots Festival is all about. She was able to ground the kids in a combination of, first of all, pure joy, just beauty, and celebration, weaving in history and the elements of history, and also a sense of identity of, this whole concept around social justice, putting it in the minds of 3- and 4-year-olds, you would think might be a daunting proposition. But in the hands of someone as talented as Rochelle, it was a sight to behold. The kids really got invested in her message. And so I wanted to show you a few pictures of some of our preschool folks were here. She was just amazing. Her connection with the kids was just amazing. Then, if that wasn't enough, we ended up asking her that afternoon to do a vocal workshop, which she calls Breathe In, Breathe Out, and some of our students who are going to be performing with Sweet Honey in the Rock. Now, talk about an amazing opportunity, right? Because remember, tonight is all about the legacy of Charles Neville and his ability to take social justice and put it in the context for our kids in a way that makes them live it and feel it and be responsible for it. And so it's really fitting that we have Rochelle as the person tonight kicking off this celebration of a weekend of music. And I ring out danger, I ring out a warning, I ring out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. Love the most people get ready. There's a train coming. Don't need no baggage, you just get out. Oh, faith is the key. I've been does it for them. Don't need no ticket. You just thank the Lord. People get ready. You don't need no ticket. Don't need no ticket. You just thank the Lord.
And I feel a great responsibility to make sure that our children know that they cannot live life alone, that they cannot live life just for themselves, that if we want this great thing called life to keep on cycling through, you're gonna have to turn around and grab somebody's hand, or you're gonna have to turn around and pour back into the next. And this week, being with the kids and teaching them about the great work of women like Odetta, and the great work of women like from Sweet Honey in the Rock, who've kept on being the champions of social justice, it reminded me, hey, you're doing that, you're turning around. You're letting them know that they can't live life just for themselves. And I'm so, so grateful to be a part of a celebration that is honoring a man who did just that, who turned around and not only said, hey, come with me, but said, I'll show you exactly how to get there. I am so, so blessed to have known about the life of Charles Neville. And I feel